Here on the channel, I've covered a number of different deadly animal species, ranging from feared apex predators such as sharks, crocodiles, and tigers, as well as less reputationally deadly creatures like the little, yet lethal, blue-ringed octopus. Now, unlike my previous animal-related videos, in this video I won't be focusing on one specific incident or multiple incidents involving a single type of animal, but rather, I wanted to try something a bit different and instead detail several different unexpectedly deadly oceanic animals that I think are interesting, but I didn't think quite warranted a video of their own for various reasons. Of course, let me know in the comments if you like this style of video, as well as other unexpectedly deadly animals you know of as well, as a part 2 and whatnot is definitely on the table. Additionally, if you enjoy my content, I would like to remind you all to please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're almost to 100,000 subscribers, and plus, new subscribers gained is seemingly the heaviest weighted aspect in the YouTube algorithm presently. So long story short, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. Also, last thing before we dive right into it, if you'd like to see the ad-free, uncensored edit of this video and many of my previous videos, as well as uncensored edits of my upcoming videos as well, consider becoming a channel member here on YouTube. Memberships start at just $1 a month, and all levels of support give you access to my entire library of uncensored edits, and also help support my independently created and entirely AI-free content here on the channel directly. Thanks again to all the channel members. When you picture in your mind deadly creatures lurking within the vast waters of Earth's oceans, chances are that what comes to mind is something along the lines of sharks, maybe orcas, or jellyfish, or perhaps even saltwater crocodiles. Or maybe you picture something less obvious, like a stingray or the aforementioned blue-ringed octopus. However, unless you're the viewer that suggested I cover them in a future video in the comments section on one of my previous videos, chances are that when you picture the oceanic slayers of man, cone snails aren't likely to be the first animals that come to mind. However, as is often the case with many of the most visually striking of Earth's creatures, you might just be surprised to learn how frighteningly deadly these snails truly are. Cone snails are predators that utilize a hollow radula tooth and a long flexible tube known as the proboscis to hunt their prey, as they launch the radula tooth outwards like a harpoon or spear gun, and upon making contact with their prey, a powerful venom is injected through the proboscis and the hollow radula tooth. This venom is powerful enough to not only paralyze fish and their various other prey, but is also powerful enough for the snails to use defensively against potential predators as well, such as unwitting humans that pick them up or step on them. Additionally, the radula tooth is also sharp enough to penetrate through wetsuits as well. Furthermore, the strength of the venom of two specific types of cone snails, Conus geographus and Conus textile, have garnered them the ominous nickname of cigarette snails, as their powerful venom will kill a human sting victim in about 5 or so minutes, roughly the same amount of time it would take them to smoke a cigarette. Now notably, there is a bit of ambiguity regarding the number of total fatalities attributed to cone snails, as it's widely suspected that due to the small size of the snail's deadly harpoons and the rapid efficacy of their venom, there are likely many unreported victims of cone snails that have slipped through the cracks over the years. However, regardless, there have been 30 reported deaths that have been positively linked to cone snail envenomations throughout the 20th and 21st centuries thus far. So if you happen across either of these snails on your next visit to the beach, steer clear, lest your life be cut abruptly short admiring their beauty up close. While a swift death via cone snail envenomation is undeniably terrifying in its own right, at least in many cases, contact with them can be intentionally avoided. However, the next unexpectedly deadly critter I'll be detailing in this video is quietly renowned as an absolute menace amongst fishermen, surfers, swimmers, snorkelers, and boaters alike. Interestingly though, contact between this infamous aquatic animal and humans is neither the result of predatory instincts, such as is the case with shark attacks, territory defense, such as the hippo attack I detailed a little while back, or a defensive retaliatory action taken after accidental or intentional contact with humans, such as with the aforementioned cone snails. Now, allow me then, dear viewer, to introduce you to the needlefish. This family of fish is relatively small in size, ranging from 12 to 60 inches in length and weighing between 1 and 14 pounds. Thanks to their slender body shape, needlefish are able to cut through the water at speeds of up to 30 miles an hour in short bursts, usually occurring when they're startled or stimulated, resulting in them using their incredible speed to burst towards the surface, subsequently causing them to leap out of the water and into the air. Additionally, needlefish also seemingly sometimes engage in this leaping behavior rather arbitrarily as well, much like another well-known leaping fish, the scourge of American rivers and lakes, the silver carp. Silver carp, however, leap from the water at approximately 15 miles per hour in comparison, and, well, don't have bodies with a shape that draws immediate comparisons to sharp pointy objects either. And, well, I think you might be able to see where I'm going here. Needlefish are known for impaling boaters, swimmers, snorkelers, and kayakers while jumping out of the water, which has resulted in some fairly gnarly looking impalement injuries throughout the years. The only recorded fatal needlefish impalement, however, would take place on the morning of October 18th, 2024, when a 36-year-old Italian woman named Giulia Manfrini was surfing off of the southern coast of Siberut Island in Indonesia at around 9:30 a.m. when she was suddenly impaled by a leaping needlefish while she surfed, piercing her chest and rupturing one of her lungs, instantly incapacitating her. Two other stunned people were nearby Giulia at the time and rushed over to render her aid. However, unfortunately, she would ultimately die as the result of drowning before she could be ferried back to shore to be rendered proper medical assistance. Of the numerous animals that inhabit the world's vast oceans, there exists a certain, almost unexplainable and intangible bond or understanding between humans and, well, seemingly dolphins in particular, as they are often regarded as sort of the humans of the ocean, and admittedly there are many common characteristics of both humans and dolphins. Both are mammals, medium-sized, highly intelligent, communicate primarily vocally, and are generally social creatures with one another. Of course, human interactions with dolphins throughout the years have been both frequent and numerous in occurrence, as well as complex and ethically and morally questionable at times. The 60s were a wild time, man. Generally speaking, though, human interactions with dolphins are usually positive and seemingly usually mutually friendly in nature, such as, for example, pods of dolphins are well known to frequently accompany sailboats for stretches of their journeys, with hostile encounters between humans and dolphins being the rare exception rather than the expectation when encounters between the two do occur. Deadly encounters between humans and dolphins are even more few and far between and are nigh unheard of, as there has only been a single documented instance of a fatal encounter between a human and dolphin in both captivity and in the wild. And much like the killer animal that was the star of my previous animal-related video on the channel, the Demon of Champawat, this deadly dolphin had a name, albeit a much less foreboding one: Tiao. Tiao was a solitary male bottlenose dolphin who first garnered a reputation in early 1994 when he became a bit of a local sensation amongst boaters and fishermen in São Sebastião, Brazil, as he was known to frequently accompany boats from the town's pier out to sea almost daily. However, by early June, as the fall faded to winter, Tiao was nowhere to be seen anymore in São Sebastião, relocating to the waters off the coast of Caraguatatuba. The beach near where he had chosen to make his new home was a frequently visited beach by humans. However, the podless dolphin seemingly relished in the opportunity to interact with people, as he quickly gained a reputation for his proclivity to approach and interact with humans visiting the beach. Indeed, while Tiao may have been podless, he certainly wasn't maidenless, as he reportedly also had a particular fondness for interacting with women in particular. But tragically, just as nature is unmatched in its mercilessness, so too are people unmatched in their cruelty. And of course, after a while, people began to take advantage of Tiao's friendliness and willingness to interact with people, and started to do, frankly, cartoonishly shitty things to him, like trying to ride him, or pouring beer in his mouth, or smushing an ice cream cone in his blowhole. As a result of this frequent harassment by bathers, Tiao in turn began to attack his assailants back, resulting in a total of 28 injuries reportedly linked to Tiao by November of 1994, as the seasons shifted into the southern summertime. Despite the increasing number of hostile encounters with humans, Tiao would continue to reside at and interact with visitors to the beach, and would remain a draw for people to visit it. On December 10th, 1994, two intoxicated men named Wilson Reyes Pedroso and João Paulo Moreira were in the process of visiting the beach at Caraguatatuba. After the duo entered the water, they spotted Tiao and decided to approach him. However, unfortunately, the imbibed men would also decide to attempt to wrestle with and restrain Tiao as well, which resulted in the bottlenose dolphin's furious retaliation as he violently headbutted the two men's torsos repeatedly, causing them to buckle over in pain and retreat back towards the shore, allowing Tiao the opportunity to escape as well. Upon returning to the shore, it was apparent that Tiao had badly injured both Wilson and Zhao during the encounter, and thus both men were rushed to the hospital in the aftermath. Following their arrival, however, Zhao would perish as the result of internal hemorrhaging from the attack, while Wilson would ultimately survive, although his ribs had been broken during the fateful encounter. The next time Tiao was spotted in the area was in January of 1995, and the general public rallied behind the bottlenose, and several groups were founded to protect him against potential retaliation. However, the sighting of Tiao in January of 1995 was the last confirmed sighting of the killer dolphin. The general consensus as to Tiao's fate is simply that it's likely he found a pod to join sometime in 1995. Alternatively, it's not wholly inconceivable that Tiao was killed in retaliation for killing Zhao either. Or maybe he's still out there somewhere, possibly even eating small fish out of the hands of children at your local aquarium. A killer hidden in plain sight. Thank you all for watching.